cutting wide on Martinez. Out for Oshie. 4-0 Caps.
You think you know hockey, right? Fast skaters, big hits, fights that feel like boxing with skates. But underneath all that chaos, hockey might be the weirdest, funniest, most unpredictable sport on the planet. There's science in the pucks, accountants in the nets, and even some trophies that have been to strip clubs. No, I'm not kidding. So today, we're running through 10 of the strangest and coolest facts about hockey. The kind of stuff you'll want to drop on your buddies next time you're watching a game. Let's get into it. 1. The science of the frozen puck. Ever wonder why the refs keep changing pucks during the game? It's not superstition, it's science. Every NHL team freezes their pucks to about 18 degrees Fahrenheit before the game. Why? Because a warm puck turns bouncy, like those rubber balls from vending machines. But a frozen one? Smooth, stable, and deadly fast. They swap them out every 2 minutes using up to 30 pucks per game. Each has a special thermochromic coating that turns purple when it's cold, then clears as it warms up.
The only way to track the puck is from the noise that it makes when the players stick handle it.
So the refs know when to replace it. And before all that fancy tech, players used frozen cow dung. Yeah, imagine a slap shot with that. The phrase, "don't eat the yellow snow," suddenly feels more serious, huh? But that's hockey for you. 1 minute it's cutting edge science, the next it's frozen farm waste flying at 100 miles per hour. From frozen poop pucks to frozen nerves, let's talk about the guys who step on the ice not expecting to play, and then end up living the dream. 2. The emergency backup goalie, every fan's fantasy. The e-bug rule might be the greatest idea in sports. Every NHL home team has to keep a random dude in the arena, a local goalie, who can play for either team if both goalies get hurt. These guys aren't pros. They're often beer league players, ex-college goalies, or Zamboni drivers. The most famous one? David Ayres. 42 years old, Zamboni driver, gets called in for Carolina.
On the first 2 shots he faced, Ayres shuts the door.
David Ayres is the emergency goaltender. That is the emerging story here.
Against Toronto in Toronto. He gives up 2 quick goals, then stops 8 straight and wins. The fans booed him at first. Then he left the ice as a legend. And Scott Foster, a Chicago accountant, once stepped in for the Blackhawks, faced 7 shots, stopped them all, and went right back to work the next morning. That's peak hockey energy. One night you're doing spreadsheets, next night you're saving breakaways on live TV. But speaking of blink and you'll miss it, let's go to the other end of the career spectrum, from the guy who got a whole win to the guy who got 4 seconds. 3. The shortest career versus longest game. Meet Greg Kohler. He played 1 shift in the NHL, 4 seconds long, didn't touch the puck, never played again. 4 seconds, that's it. Makes you wonder if he even broke a sweat or if his Fitbit counted it as exercise. On the total opposite side, the longest game ever lasted 176 minutes and 30 seconds. Detroit versus Montreal, 1936. The winning goal came at 2:25 in the morning. Fans left with frostbite and probably some new swear words. So yeah, hockey doesn't really do average. You're either gone in 4 seconds, or you're still skating at sunrise. And when it comes to weird extremes, few stories beat how the hat trick became a thing. Spoiler, it started with a guy trying to get a free fedora. 4. The origin of the hat trick. In 1946, Chicago's Alex Kalita wanted a new hat but couldn't afford it. A Toronto hat shop owner named Sammy Taft said, "Score 3 goals tonight against the Leafs, and it's yours." Kalita scored 4, got the hat, lost the game, but walked out looking sharp. Taft kept the tradition going, giving free hats to players who scored 3 and it caught on across the league. That's how tossing your hat on the ice became hockey's ultimate compliment. Fun twist, the phrase actually came from cricket in the 1800s, where fans bought a bowler, a hat, for taking 3 wickets in a row. But hockey? Hockey made it chaos. 20,000 fans throwing hats while the PA announcer begs them to stop. Speaking of chaos, no one creates it quite like the Stanley Cup. 5. Stanley Cup stories too crazy to make up. The Stanley Cup is the most iconic trophy in sports, and also the most cursed babysitting job in history. In 1924, the Montreal Canadiens left it on the side of the road after their car broke down. They remembered it halfway up the hill. Imagine retracing your steps for a giant silver trophy. In 1905, Ottawa players tried to kick it across a frozen canal after a night of drinking. The cup's also been stolen twice, dropped in swimming pools, and once ended up in a strip club, courtesy of Mark Messier. It's seen more wild nights than half the league combined.
Like so much of this final was about the Washington Capitals' playoff failures of years past, and you wore those failures.
The moral? You can win it, but you better not be trusted to take care of it. And while the cup travels like a rock star, sometimes the weirdest headlines come from goalies who actually score goals. 6. Goalies who score, the rarest club in hockey. Goalies scoring goals is like seeing a solar eclipse. It happens, but you remember it forever. Only 17 goalies have ever scored in the NHL, and Martin Brodeur leads the pack with 3. Ron Hextall was actually the first to shoot one down the ice and score. In 2024, Philippe Gustafsson joined the club when he launched a puck the full length of the rink into an empty net with 9 seconds left, and the crowd went wild. You can't fake that joy. The bench erupts, the goalie grins like a little kid, and somewhere the opposing coach contemplates retirement. Now, from the guys scoring goals to the ones collecting penalty minutes like Pokemon cards. 7. The Penalty Box Hall of Fame. Some players score goals, others collect minutes. Tiger Williams racked up 3,971 penalty minutes. That's almost 3 full days in the box. Randy Holt owns the single-season record, 67 minutes. And the infamous 2004 Flyers vs. Senators game, a combined 419 penalty minutes. That's basically a movie-length fight. But here's the thing, those brawls gave hockey its personality. Every big hit or punch-up has its own folklore. And let's be honest, no one's ever changed the channel when the gloves drop. If you think those fights were wild, wait till you hear about the trades that happen during games. 8. Traded mid-game, only in hockey. Picture this. You're mid-game, sweating, focused, and the coach taps you on the shoulder. You've been traded. That happened to Michael Camilleri in 2012. Got pulled between periods and told he was now a Calgary Flame. He asked if he could keep his jersey. The GM said, sure, if you pay for it. Hockey's ruthless like that. Matt Duchene got traded mid-game too, skated off as an Avalanche, walked out as an Ottawa Senator. Imagine scoring a goal and realizing it counted for the wrong team. Brutal.
On a break. In on Hope, he fakes, scores! He did it again! The fake shot move!
And while that sounds insane, it's nothing compared to some of the rules written in the NHL's playbook. 9. The rule book that makes no sense. The NHL rulebook reads like a mix of logic and fever dream. Goalies can sew their jerseys tighter to look bigger. Their stick tape has to be white. You can't carry 2 sticks unless you're a goalie, in which case you still can't touch the puck with it. And if all refs get injured mid-game, the coaches have to pick players to act as officials. Home teams pick the ref, away teams pick the linesman. Picture that for a second. Marchand calling penalties on himself. Also, if you pull your goalie in overtime and get scored on, you lose the extra point. Talk about gambling with fire. All right, enough rules. Let's get to the real heart of hockey. The quirks, the routines, the good luck charms, superstitions, and where hockey turns into theater. 10. Hockey's superstitions. Beautiful, gross, and legendary. Wayne Gretzky had a beverage routine that sounds like a science experiment. Diet Coke, water, Gatorade, then another Diet Coke. Always that order. Goalie Glenn Hall threw up before every game on purpose, claimed it helped him relax. Hey, 407 wins says he wasn't wrong. Patrick Waugh talked to his goalpost and thanked them for saves. Ray Bourque changed skate laces every period. That's over 5,000 pairs across his career. And then there's the playoff beard. No shaving until you're out. The Detroit Red Wings octopus tradition started when 8 tentacles meant 8 playoff wins for the Cup. Fans still toss them on the ice. Superstition or psychology, whatever you call it, it's hockey's heartbeat. It's belief wrapped in ritual, held together by duct tape and adrenaline. And that's what makes hockey so addictive. It's not just skill, it's the chaos, the characters, the science, the madness, all fused together in one frozen circus. So yeah, hockey's not just a sport. It's a culture built on frozen rubber, bad decisions, and incredible stories. From cow dung pucks to accountants in net, every part of the game has a story that sounds fake, but isn't. So tell me, which of these blew your mind the most? The e-bugs? The frozen pucks? Or maybe the Cup's trip to the strip club? Drop it in the comments, and if you learned something new, give it a like. Because in hockey, even the strangest stories deserve a round of applause. Or at least 2 minutes in the box.